Good morning, everybody. We're delighted to have Gonzalo Iturriaga, Technical Director of Tempos Vega Sicilia. Gonzalo is going to present the wines of Vega Sicilia for us. So, Gonzalo, thank you very much. And please, when you're ready.
Well, thank you for having me here. Please ask me as many questions as you have, and I will try to answer. Okay, we produce here 3 wines. Único, well, you know all the wines we produce. So this is the chapel where we pray. I pray every day, not every day, but especially harvest time, or now with the coronavirus. And this inside of the church, of the chapel, we have an image of Santa Cecilia. In fact, the name of Vega Sicilia comes from La Vega de Santa Cecilia, that in old Spanish is Cecilia, it was written like Sicilia. That's why they short the name and they say La Vega Sicilia. And people from been living for in Vega Sicilia for all their life, they still calling La Vega Sicilia. So this is our chapel. This is one of the first photo I show you. It was a photo of here, of Ontañón, of our oldest plot, of our heritage, of our massal selection, where we start doing all our massal selection. And this plot is very important, not in terms of production, because we produce a small quantity, but in terms of vegetal material. So,
there is one question.
Yes.
When you compare the heritage vines, the older vines used for massal selection with younger vines, what are the physical and chemical changes or differences do you notice in the analysis of the vines and grapes? Okay. If the vines evolve naturally due to environmental pressures, do you have to work with the massal material in different ways?
Well, I think massal selection from massal, the first step is massal selection, where you choose plenty of different vines, okay? And where you look how the behavior of these vines against the malady, diseases, and to see the quality of the bunches. After a few years of observation, you analyze the DNA, but you also analyze to see if there are different clones, okay? And you select and you analyze if they have any diseases. And you select the ones that you think that they are best. So you take the shoots from this massal selection and you plant in a place really sandy, so they don't have any diseases. And you see the behavior of the sons if they behave like the father. So this is the clonal selection, the second part, where you see that all the sons are the same. Nowadays, when we do new plantation, we do like they used to do before. We plant these 25 clones, but mix like they used to do, to have more complexity and to have more to have more resistance against diseases. Okay. So in terms of analysis, there is no analysis that can tell you anything, because there is no polymerization, there is no analysis. It's a question of taste. For example, here I have a photo that here, this is a vine of 12 years old, okay, this part, and this is a vine that is already planted with our clonal selection. This clonal selection, the first year that we vinified it was in Lyon 2 years ago, in 2015. And it's very important, this clonal selection, but it's also very important the soil where it's grown and the type of root stock you put. Because here you have a specific root stock that is the fercal, okay? And here you have another specific soil with different soil that is more the Richter 110. For me, it's much more important to know how it's going to be the behavior with the soil and with the root stock, because this pair is very important to the good development of the vines. For example, these soils are going to be always, well, in the future, now they're for Barbuena, but in the future they're going to be always único soil. So for a great wines, you need the soil but you need also the good pair of of Portagrave and the different clones. We put different clones to have more complexity, but in terms of analysis, you cannot see great things. You can only see tasting the grapes or tasting the wines. I don't know if I understood. I answered.
I think that's fairly clear. Thank you.
Okay, it was a hard question, very good question. The first grape I taste here in Vega Sicilia was here. This goes normally for Único. And for me, when I taste the grape, I was with Enrique Macias. When I taste the grape, I don't know what's going on, but when you taste, you feel things completely different. Like the tannicity is completely different, but it's like I was trying to explain. There's no analysis that explain you why so different. There was in the past, until 1985, the CEO was Jesús Anadón, and he used to say, no sé qué, pero en Vega Sicilia hay algo que hace que los vinos sean grandes. I don't know what, but in Vega Sicilia there is something that makes the wines huge. I don't know. In my case, I don't know what, but here in Vega Sicilia there is something that makes the wines gorgeous. And if we can age these wines so long, it's because of the soil, Portagrave, and because of the grapes. Okay. So, like I explained before, here, these old vines are used for Valbuena nowadays. But in 2015, all this part, we try, normally we don't use the vines until they have 10 years old. But the first year when we try for the first time, we use it for Allion and we see what's going on. And that year, these vines were the best wine in the winery. And in Allion, we work with vines for 80, 90 years old. So, but it's not only a question of the age of the vines, it's also a question of the balance between this, what type of soil you have and the type of rootstock and type of clones you have. So here, this is in 20 more years, this is going to be Único, for sure. This is huge. This here you can see in all this slope would be Único in 20 more years. Nowadays is Valbuena because they are quite young. This is more a Valbuena soil, a little bit more deep, also with white clays, but less gypsum. And these vines normally we use it that they are in the plat. We use it for Allion. So depending where it's grown, we use it for Único. Normally we have around 40 hectares for Único, 100 hectares for Valbuena, and around 20-30 hectares for Allion in Vega Sicilia. Okay, but one of the huge problems we have in the Ribera is the frost. Here you can see a fan, and that's how we are protected against the frost. But in the past, you know that we throw away different vintages. Last one was in 2001, 97, that we didn't produce Único. This year, we didn't produce Único because they were frost. Since 2007, we put these fans with heating system, and we are more or less protected against the frost. So we don't have to do so many sacrifices. So we can produce more or less every year Único and Reserva Especial and Valbuena. These are our soils, the white clays, the gypsums, the marls. This a few years ago, Mr. Bourguignon came to make a study, like a consultant, and he was really surprised about how alive were our soils. And he said to Enrique that our terroirs, some part of our terroirs, they were like some terroirs in Champagne and some terroirs in Burgundy. So really specific terroirs. And for me, this is the secret. This is the secret that why our wines can age so well. Well, this is the vinification area. For me, the vinification in Vega Sicilia is easy. natural yeast. The extraction is easy because always we ripe. Like making wine in Vega Sicilia is easy peasy Japanese. It's quite easy. It's in León it's more challenging, in Toro really more challenging, or in Rioja, but here is really easy. So this is the aging process, and this is the aging process. For me, one of the clues, or one of the key points of Vega Sicilia is the way of we age the wines. The first year we always age the wines in barrels, but then depending if it goes for Valbuena or goes for Único, we start aging the wines in these big vats. Valbuena first year in barrel, the second year in these big vats. In this second year you win in a definition, in a precision, you win in a really nice elegance way of expression. But Único can stay in barrel, or in the second year. I have here a sort of a schema. Valbuena, first year we age the wine in barrel, and second year we age the wines in batch of 85,000 liters, 65,000 liters, or 220,000 liters. And after that we make the blend and it stays all together during 10 months, and then we bottle. Único is a really longer process. The first year we age the wine in barrel. The second year we decide how much goes back in used barrel, normally American barrel, and how much goes in big batch. The third year, everything is, we do different blends, and we rack everything in big batch. And in the fourth and the fifth year, we are allowed to introduce until 15% of different vintages. For example, this year, we introduce a little bit of 2016 in Único 2004, in Único 2015, and in 2016 we introduce a little bit of 16. So it's a wine that you age during 5 years, building it step by step with a lot of time, and it's huge, and it's wonderful how is the evolution of these wines. For me, when you taste a wine of 1939, for example, and it's still alive and still beautiful, I think part of the part is due to the terroir, but also part is due to this long aging process that nobody does in red wines like we do, and this make us quite a special way of aging wines, quite Único way of aging wines. I don't know if you understood more or less the process.
You need to keep this chart in every presentation. It's brilliant.
Well, it's my kid that did it. No, it's me.
Gonzalo, can you explain the impact of the different processes of aging that you've just explained? So in barrel, in larger oak format, what is the impact of each stage of that aging process?
Well, there are like different stages. First stage, you have to build the wine. Like for example, when the malolactic finish, 1 month after, we take out all the bubbles, we take out the carbonic, and we taste them. And we decide if we have to start blending the wines. And we decide in which type of barrel you have to put. For example, if you have a wine that needs to fill the entry of the mouth, normally we use American oak to fill the mouth, to round the mouth. But if you have a really powerful wine, what you put is a more elegant barrel, like Taranceau, like Saint Martin, or like other ones we have. So what you do in the first vintage is to polish the potential or to fill these wines. Okay, this is the first year of aging, where you fill, you put whatever is needed in the wine. You work with the wine so that the wines fill the mouth, or winning finesse, or whatever is needed. After the first year of aging, where the wines, like they were in the school, now they pass to the university. The university for me is the aging in big batch, where you win in complexity, where you win in finesse, where you win in a third, fourth dimension. Here, what you work is the texture, the finesse, the complexity. You work other things, and you work. That's why you work with big batch. I don't know if I answered your question.
Yes, and there's another follow-up question to that, which is an interesting one. Is there a difference in aging the wines in foudre, which are the sort of the horizontal large oak barrels, and the vertical oak vats that you showed just in the picture of Vega?
Well, foudres, the size is very important. For example, when we use in Valbuena here, when we use this small size, normally the evolution is going to be faster. For example, nowadays we are aging Valbuena 18, and we just racked yesterday this wine because the evolution of the wines were too fast, and we have to refresh the wines. For example, the evolution in bigger batch, it goes more slowly. More bigger is the tank, less evolution there is in the wine, less oxygen there is, and the aging is more slowly. So you don't tire the wine so quickly. So the size is very important. The shape, I'm not really sure. We put foudres in Macam because we didn't have enough roof to put tanks, but I don't know if the shape, I'm not sure if the shape makes any difference. The size, for sure, the shape, not sure.
Okay, that's perfect, thank you.
Kirk, can you put the video of the Cooper? Well, one of the things we have is the Cooper. And for me, having a Cooper is also being quite spoiled because I work, Jose Enrique, he's third generation. His grandfather used to work in Vega Sicilia. His father was the first Cooper in Vega Sicilia, and then he's the next generation. And for me, working with him, it's very important because we try to adapt ourselves depending how is the vintage, and we try to have we produce American and French oak. American around 500, 600 barrels depending how is the vintage, and French around 200, 250 barrels per year, 300 depending how is the vintage. And in every single winery, we try to have two toes, one more for warmer climates and one more for cooler climates. So depending how is the vintage, we try to adapt ourselves, putting more toes of, for example, 1 or 3 or 5 or 6, depending how is the vintage. So for me, he is a key point to keep improving the quality in the aging. And also, it's very important for me because Jose Enrique opens the barrel we buy. We buy around 1,500, 2,000 barrels per year, and he opens the barrels to double check what we receive. And it's really important since 2015, we gave back around 1,500 barrels to the suppliers. So it's a key guy for me. So I think, I don't know if you have any questions or any comments, or everything was really well explained.
You've been very, very precise. It's helping.
Yeah, your humility.
Thank you so much.
It is a wonderful opportunity to spend time with you, and thank you everyone who took the chance to join us. Very much appreciated. Wish all of you a wonderful day. Gonzalo, thank you again, and look forward to seeing you all on the next.
Thank you, Gonzalo.
Thank you, Gonzalo.